All right. Here we go. Let's dive into this a little bit more. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Let's dive deeper here. So, should players be concerned about the status of the free agent market, or is this a product of the pending lockout? Or is it a product of the two huge free agents in Soto and Otani the past two off seasons?
Boy, I think there's a lot to unpack here. So let's go piece by piece here. Um, Penny lockout, I think, definitely has something to do with this. I think teams are hesitant to make big commitments going into a likely work stoppage, a likely transition period for baseball with probably some big changes coming out of it. It's hard to make big commitments when you don't know the rules at the other end of it. So I do think teams are trying to keep some flexibility. I also do wonder if the players are driving us a little bit. Give me a 3-year deal, but give me the opt outs so that if things change and it's actually better for me, I can go back out there. I do think there's a level of teams trying to be cautious, not make the big commitment, keep some flexibility. I think there's also a level of maybe some of the players want that too, because nobody knows what's coming.
Right.
And after 2026, all bets are off.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the lockout is the biggest culprit. Now there is a lot of other possible variables here, but yeah, Curtis, everybody in the chat, I'm with you. Like the lockout is the number one reason, I think. We just don't know what's going to happen. We've been calling for salary cap. We've been calling for salary floor. We've been calling for a harsher luxury tax penalty. We've been calling for owners to spend more, owners to spend less. So like the teams just have no idea where this is going to go, how long it's going to go, right? Do I want to sign a 3-year contract when it's going to be essentially a 4-year contract because we're not going to play in 2027? So like there's a lot of that. So the lockout is the number one reason for me why these contracts are kind of looking like they are. Now, Pete Alonso's Pete Alonso. You're going to overpay years, money, whatever you can to get those 50 home runs on your team, right? That's what you're going for anyways, right? There are some guys that are going to break that mold just because that's who they are, and that's what your team needs. But the lockout is dictating a lot of these, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. You're moving into a period of major uncertainty. But I do think, and Mike Reed said it in the chat before I got a chance to get to it, I do think this free agent class is not great. And I do think teams are tired of the valuations being what they are. I don't think anybody wants to pay Framber Valdez $35 million a year. That's what he's expecting. That's what the market's been. Nobody wants to give him that. And I think there's a level of teams that are holding out. We've got a lot of big names drifting into January, which we usually have some. We've got a lot of big names drifting into January with, basically every one of the top free agents, minus maybe like Schwarber and Cease, are still out there.
Yeah.
Still got Tucker, still got Suarez, still got Framber Valdez, still got Bregman. You've got a lot of the big guys still sitting there waiting to make a move. And I think teams are looking at it as I just don't want to pay full price because I think the price is too high for what I'm getting. Yeah. And I don't think there's anybody in this free agent class that I'm just like, oh my God, got to have him. Like my team won't be the same without him. I think teams are just looking at it saying, I can for a lot less money get a guy who's almost as good and do something different. I think that's why the Red Sox have gone the route of trades. I'm going to go trade for the players that I like on contracts that are more affordable because I don't want to pay the current market value.
Yeah, and I'm
going to go pick up old contracts.
Exactly. And we've said this for the last year or two about these young kids coming in, right? I'm not going to go pay $35-40 million a year for a guy that I have coming up in the minor leagues in 2 years. And I know he's going to be that type of player. Mm-hmm. We are seeing such an influx of these guys, and you have them under control for 6 years. You don't have to pay them. So, yeah, I'm going to go the cheaper option. That's going to give my team a better option for sustained success for the next 6 years.
Yep.
Just makes sense.
And I'm going to make the unpopular comment that I make every time we get into this, but with the values being what they are, because some big market teams have driven them up. When a guy like Framber Valdez says, "Hey, my price tag $30 million a year," half the teams in the MLB go, "Can't afford it. Couldn't even if I wanted to." And that again is a problem. Free agency is not for everybody anymore. Free agency is not open to the entire league. Free agency is only really available to the top, 10, 12 teams.
Yeah.
Everybody else is sitting it out.
Yeah.
Or kind of picking at the edges for what's available, what's left.
Yeah. Nico says baseball free agency notoriously moves slow, but I think what these guys are demanding these days, teams just don't want to pay these crazy premiums, which is business smart, which is what you just said, Harrison. Like it there's no point to. Like, I have this guy. Is he still raw? Does he still need some shaping? Yes. But in 2 or 3 years, he's going to be on my team, and he's going to be under team control for 6 years. I don't need to go spend $40 million a year until that guy gets here. I'm just going to wait.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. And I look around. You look around the league. You've got a lot of teams right now that are transitioning into rebuilds. You got a lot of teams in the league now that are on the way up, but don't have the budget for a big name player, and have young guys coming. And to give Craig Breslow some credit, because I'm usually pretty tough on him, he even said it, like, I need to maintain some roster flexibility because I got young guys coming that I don't want to block. Like, I don't want to make a 5-year commitment to somebody and tell some guy in the minor leagues, "Hey, dude, sorry, there's no spot for you anymore."
Right.
Be forced to trade guys out that could be potential superstars for you. Be forced to move positions. The A's did that with Soderstrom, but that's not the norm to move a guy twice in a year and have it work out for you.
Right.
So I just think it's I think there's a lot to it, but I do believe that free agency is no longer something that everybody participates in because they just can't.